Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about ball joints. Getting the ball joint nut off is oftentimes hard enough. I got this one off, nice castle nut like that. A little bit of help of my PB blaster penetrating oil catalyst, as they call it, which I love, and I already did a video on that. But you got this off, but now the steering knuckle won't come up out of the control arm or up off the ball joint. And there's a lot of ways to do it. You get ball joint splitters, which is like a little fork, and you can wedge that in there, which always tears the living daylights out of the boots. And it just shreds the boots. If you read the instructions on a lot of control arms and ball joint installation type stuff, it says do not hit the steering knuckle with a hammer. Well, that's true. You don't ever want to hit the steering knuckle with a hammer. You don't ever want to come anywhere near this stuff with a hammer. You don't want to ding the rotors. You don't want to ding your caliper or your shocks or anything like that. You could cause some real serious damage to that. However, basically what you have is you have the bolt like this one. This is for the control arm, but it's the same idea. You have a bolt like this one sitting up in here, and the steering knuckle is around it. And what's keeping them together is just rust, usually. They're welded together through rust because, well, I mean, I'm upstate New York, so, you know, we got a lot of rust. But that's usually what it is for anybody. There's rust in here, it's keeping them together. All you've got to really do is break it free. Now, you don't have a lot of angle here, else I'd just say hit a hammer this way and you pop it out that way. And if you can do that, cool. But usually you can't. So what you can do is you can actually just knock on the control arm. Now my control arm goes back like this and splits into a Y and goes out like in a trailing design. A lot of control arms are like that. So I'm not going to go from this direction. I'm going to hit it from this direction. And let me show you with a little bit of a different angle here. I'll switch cameras and I'll show you where I'm going to hit it and how I'm going to hit it. Before I start hitting it, I just wanted to show you what I'm aiming for here. Do not want to hit the steering knuckle at all. All I'm trying to do is just knock this bolt loose here. So we've got this bolt that goes up through the steering knuckle. This is the ball joint here. Okay, this is the ball joint. And here's the steering knuckle. And this bolt is just going right through there. So this is the control arm. So I'm just going to wail on this, and what will happen is it's not going to pop right out. It's not magic. But what it will do is it will loosen up the rust that's in here, and eventually you'll see this will be sliding around, and then you can just take the control arm and push it down while pushing up on the steering knuckle, and it will pop right out. And that's, you know, you just got to watch for it and see exactly what's happening. Okay, so when it comes to the kind of hammer that you're going to use, it's good to have something that has a lot of weight to it. Hammer like this may or may not work. I like a big 2-pound ball peen hammer, which I can't find right now. I also have a nice rubber sledgehammer, but yeah, then this happened to it. Apparently it wasn't that nice. Yeah, I need a new one of these. These can be really, really good. I also somewhere had a copper-headed sledge, which I used for the knockoffs on my old 1967 MG, but I don't know where that one went either. So we're going to try it with this. Not the best option. A good heavy rubber sledge is definitely the way to go. But yeah, I don't have that option. But if you don't have a good heavy hammer, yeah, I have a 2-pound ball peen that I usually use for this. I call that thing the problem solver because whenever something's not working, if I hit it with that, it usually works. So, but I don't have that right now, so, and that's broken. So we're going to go with a good old regular hammer. After wailing on it for a little bit, I noticed that it had come loose. Now, you can see where I hit it. All along here. All along the bottom of the control arm. I might have accidentally tagged the steering knuckle once or so there, but you don't ever really want to hit that steering knuckle. You always just want to hit only on the control arm. It's really important. And now, since I'm holding the camera here, you can see that it's loose. And so now, I'm just going to take both hands. I'll push up on the steering knuckle, push down on the control arm, and I'll be able to pop this thing right out. And it'll just hang on the strut. As long as you've got a McPherson strut like that, this thing can pretty much hang from that. It's pretty strong for a short period of time. If you've got like upper control arms, that sort of stuff, then you probably don't want to have it do that. You probably want to just put a jack or something underneath this so that it's supporting the weight while you're putting the new ball joint in or the new control arm or anything. So now all I'm going to do, I can just take this and push down on the control arm. Just give it a little wiggle here.
We'll hold this. We'll actually hold it like that. Well, I'm not actually going to be flying it until probably till yeah.
Okay, so I solved that by actually pushing back on the steering knuckle while pushing down on the control arm. Now you can see this is kind of spinning free, and the control arm is separate. So that's how I got the ball joint out. Now I'm just going to remove the bolts on the control arm, slide that out, and then put the new one in. So what I learned through the whole process of turning this or putting this thing back on is, first, you take the control arm, you're going to put it in at an angle. You put that pivot point in first, which is the back bushing that's closest to the back of the car. Then you're going to spin it this way, and you put the ball joint through the steering knuckle. You get that in there, then you put the nut on that a little bit, doesn't have to be completely tight, and then you can use the whole steering knuckle and the brakes as leverage to kind of shove it into this forward bushing and get that part of the control arm set up, and then you put the nut in through there, or the bolt in through there. Once you do that, tighten everything up to the torque specifications, make sure you know what those are, and you use a good torque wrench so that this is done right. Control arms, suspension stuff is really important. You can't skimp out on not doing the torque requirements on that. You don't obviously want a bolt to fall out of your control arm when you are driving down the road. That would be really bad. So anything with brakes, suspension, control arms, honestly, I follow the torque specifications to the T. The other thing that's obviously almost always recommended is brand new bolts. When you put the bolts through the control arms, you get new bolts from your Honda dealer and put those in there so that you've got brand new bolts that are in there, that are fresh, that are new, and not out of round or anything weird like that. So basically, hopefully this will help you with control arms, even if you don't own a Honda. Some of the techniques that I've tried hopefully can help you out. One thing I did try is I also tried to jack up the whole steering knuckle here to help me leverage the control arm in. I was trying to put both two contact points in at the same time. That didn't work at all. And so then I tried to put in the pivot point first and slide it in, and that seemed to work out really well. So that's what I recommend, and hopefully this all helps you.
Okay, Dad.